You didn't choose this life. This life chose you. Somewhere along the way, you stopped waiting for someone to call. You stopped refreshing your phone, hoping a message would appear. You stopped feeling guilty for canceling plans and started feeling relieved. And then came the question that haunts you in the quiet moments. What is wrong with me? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. But here's the uncomfortable truth nobody says out loud. You were trained by disappointment. Every time someone let you down, your brain quietly made a note. Every time a crowded room left you feeling more alone than your empty bedroom, your nervous system filed a report. And slowly, beautifully, painfully, you became your own person. Not because solitude was your first choice, but because it became your safest one. People look at you and see someone who doesn't need anyone. They call you cold, mysterious, intimidating. They don't see what you actually are, someone who needed people so deeply, so completely, that when they weren't there, you had to become everything for yourself. There's a concept in attachment, psychology called earned security. It's what happens when a person doesn't receive consistent emotional safety from others in their early life. So their nervous system builds it from the inside. You didn't become self-sufficient because you're strong. You became self-sufficient because you had no other option. And somewhere in that process, something extraordinary happened. You discovered that your own company wasn't empty. It was full. Full of thoughts nobody else was thinking. Full of questions nobody else was asking. Full of a quiet kind of knowing that the noise of the world was always trying to drown out. You didn't find solitude. Solitude found you, and it stayed. Because you finally let something stay. Here's what's actually happening inside your brain, not in textbook language, but in the language of how it feels at 2 a.m. when the world is asleep and your mind is the most awake it's been all day. Your brain has something called the default mode network, a system that activates not when you're doing things, but when you stop, when you're staring out a window, when you're in the shower, when you're sitting in a coffee shop watching strangers live their lives. Most people experience that silence as discomfort. They reach for their phone, they turn on the TV. They call someone not because they have something to say, but because they cannot tolerate the sound of their own mind. But your brain treats that silence like oxygen. In that stillness, your DMN is doing something profound. It's connecting memories to emotions. It's building narratives. It's asking, who am I really? And actually waiting for an answer. Neuroscientists have found that people with highly active DMNs tend to score higher in creative thinking, moral reasoning, and self-awareness. You aren't zoning out. You are going in. And in a world that only rewards those who perform loudly, your greatest work happens in a place no one else can see. Now here is where I need to challenge you, gently. But honestly, there is a version of self-sufficiency that is genuine strength. And there is a version that is a beautifully constructed wall. Ask yourself this, and really sit with it. When was the last time you let someone see you when you weren't okay? Not performing okay. Not, I'm fine, just tired. But genuinely, vulnerably, uncomfortably not okay. Because sometimes, what we call independence is actually protection. And what we call not needing people is actually fear. Fear that if we let them in and they leave, we won't survive it again. Deepest struggle isn't loneliness. It's the terror of needing someone and being failed by them. So you eliminate the need entirely. You become the friend, the therapist, the cheerleader, all for yourself. And it works. Until it dies in single quotes, the strongest thing you could ever do is not carry it alone. It is to finally put it down in front of someone who earned the right to see it. You are not a loner. You are not broken. You are not too much or not enough. You are someone who has developed an extraordinary relationship with the one person most people spend their entire lives running from themselves, while the world outsources its sense of worth to followers, to validation, to the next hit of social approval. You have been doing the slow, unglamorous, sacred work of knowing who you are without an audience. That is rare. Genuinely rare. In psychology, we talk about individuation, Carl Jung's concept of becoming a whole, authentic self rather than a reflection of what the world expects. Most people never reach it. Not because they aren't capable, but because they never stop long enough to try. You've stopped, maybe not by choice at first, but you stopped. And in that stopping, you found something the noise never could have given you. A self that belongs to no one. and therefore fully belongs to you. If this felt like something you've never heard anyone say out loud before, that's because most content isn't made for people like you. It's made for the crowd. You were never the crowd. Leave a comment with just these words. I came home to myself, not for the algorithm, not for me, but so that another person scrolling at midnight, feeling invisible, knows someone else has been here too. Else understands, and they are not alone in their solitude. Subscribe, not for more content, but for more conversations that feel like this one.